Hi, this is Troy Vincent, and you're listening to NFL Players Second Acts podcast.
Thank y'all for tuning in. I'm Peanut Tillman, and this is the NFL Players Second Acts podcast. And today, my co-host, Roman Barbara Walters Harper. What's up? What's up, Rome?
What's up, Peanut? Thank you. I don't know why I'm Barbara Walters today, but
because you look older than me. That's why.
I mean, if you're gonna call me somebody, I'd much rather be the one lady that got locked up.
She be with Snoop all the time.
Yeah. Martha Stewart. That's it. Yeah, let me be Martha Stewart. You're gonna be who you gonna be? Oprah.
I'm Oprah. Okay, but Martha Stewart's
be...
not a journalist, though. Barbara Walters is a journalist. Martha Stewart doesn't do that.
This is my podcast too, so I'm gonna be Martha, and you're gonna be Oprah. Today. Let's go.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Right now, we got a special guest. This guy played 15 years in the NFL, 5-time Pro Bowler. He was an All-Pro, 2002 Walter Payton Man of the Award. 2002 Walter Payton Man of the Year winner. Right now, he's the Executive Vice President of Football Operations, Mr. Troy Vincent.
Thanks for having me. What's up, R?
Yeah, throw him up.
So, man, when I grow up, I wanna be just like you. I'm just saying that. I'm real thrilled to have you on this show because I think you are the embodiment of what we talk about when we talk about, your second act of what you're going to do post football, and what you've done in a short period of time has been truly amazing to watch and see.
Well, it doesn't feel like it's been a short period of time. I lost my hair. You see, I'm now bald.
Well, we gonna talk about that. We got something for the hair.
I did some research on that.
I think Rome's gonna pepper you a little bit with something about the hair loss. So again, we always start this show off with one of the main questions, and for me, I knew it was time to hang up my cleats, even though I didn't want to. Played the game, tore my ACL when I was 36 years old. So at that point in time, yeah, chances are no one's gonna pick up an old corner. We played the same position. So when did you officially know it was time to hang up your cleats and retire?
Probably year 11.
Okay.
Year 11, I knew that I was kind of in my 7th season now in Philly. And I was told by both Aeneas Williams and Hardy Nickerson at a Christian retreat. We were just talking about transition. And Reggie White, and they were sharing with me, like, when do you know? They asked that same question. When would you know? And Hardy was the first to jump out there. You understand, or when it's your time, when you don't want to do the things that you love doing before. Mm-hmm. Mm. And he gave the illustration, Hardy used to bring it, and he loved contact. Well, I was that same way. The things that I used to do, the things that I was known for, I wasn't loving that every single day.
Right.
And that was around year 11. And then we had some young guys in Philly they were about to just explode. But I knew it was about that time, and I could buy a few more years, so to say, just based off of what I had did previously. But no question, year 11, when I knew, it's really about that time for me to just that expiration date on my body, I felt it.
So, you're talking about that because you played 15, right?
Yes,
so
sir.
You still bought some time, like you spoke on, and I've listened to some of your other podcasts, Troy, that you've done. And, kind of just piggyback on what Peanut said earlier. Man, you are a living legend. You were on my wall when I was growing up because you played DB. I watched you growing up from your time when you first got into the league to when you were dominant, truly dominant with Philly, going to Miami after that, continue on prolonging your career. It's really special to watch, and also seeing you now post-career. You truly are the vision board of what every other NFL player says. This is what it's supposed to look like when you play football for as long as you do and still be able to take advantage of the time you're in. And then once you're done, continue to move on with that. So I just want to make sure I gave you your glory as well on that. But You talked about when you had the young guys behind you, Lito, those other guys behind you. And I heard you in another podcast talk about, they were never going to become the players and the leaders and the stars that they were going to be with you in that same position. That you, as long as you were in that locker room, you were almost being a hindrance to their true growth of who they were supposed to be. Could you maybe talk on that? Being a good teammate, a good steward of the game, making sure that everybody continues to pull back, reach back and pull forward. The way you were able to do that is example as a player and now also in your position now.
Yes, sir. And I would just say, one, thank you for the kind words. But I was brought into the National Football League when I was drafted by Miami. There were veterans like John Offerdahl. And in the back end, there was a gentleman by the name of J.B. Brown, played at Maryland, that these individuals were the ones who kind of shared with me. Yeah. I had a chance to see what leadership was, in particular around John Offerdahl. He was a middle linebacker for us, number 56. He taught me how to be a pro. And what is being a pro? Showing up every day, taking care of your business, detailing your work, but being a student of the game. Fast forward, when I went to Philly, Bobby Taylor was there, but even though we were only 3 years apart, I was still considered a veteran. Again, fast forward, maybe year 6, I think maybe 5 or 6, you draft Lito and Sheldon Brown, 2 really good cornerbacks.
Yeah.
And Doc was there. Doc and I came to Philly together. You had Bryant Westbrook, but I was the kind of the leader in the locker room. 1, I was a PA rep. 2, I had a good body of work on the field where the teammates respected you. Mm-hmm. These men were phenomenal leaders. They were the best football player ever played with Brian Dawkins, but he didn't have to talk. Why? Because if you wanted an answer, you had challenges whether it was with the head coach, the coordinator, front office. Hey, Troy will handle it. But you were watching these young men, in particular Sheldon and Brian, and that's Brian Westbrook as well. But Dog, you saw him growing. But you knew that you need to leave that nest. You need to leave so that these men could be really, truly what God has called them to be. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of, I think I did what I needed to do there. Obviously fell short of a Super Bowl, won a lot of football games, championship games. But it was time for these men to be who God had called them to be in the locker room. And that's exactly what happened, and went on to Buffalo. And was
that hard for you to do, though, leaving though?
No, sir. No, sir. And I mean that sincerely, really? Because the game has done more for me than I can ever do for it. Mm-hmm. And my walk with Jesus Christ allows me to walk into that meekness and understand this is not only good for me, because selfishly I could have stayed. I got the same contract offer in Philly to stay and close out there that I did in Buffalo. Mm. But I don't know if the story would have been the same with Brian, with Sheldon, with Lito, with Westbrook, and even McNabb. So I didn't. No regrets. And it was just all part of, I felt like my body of work and my DNA, but just leaning on faith.
I think one time I saw you speak, and I don't know where we were at, but I think it was earlier in my career. And I think you might have said you might have wanted to have an investment firm or financial firm or
yes,
or something like that. And again, young in my career, I took note. I still remember that to this day. And I was like, man, he playing football. He want to be he want his own bank. Okay. He on some other stuff. He on a different level. What prepares you to have that type of mindset? Because you've always had internships in the league, right? How did you get your first job in the off season? How did you get that first internship?
Well, if you don't mind me just going back, Peanut.
Oh yeah.
I've been very, very intentional from high school. Like football was not who I was. Football was a way for me to get a free education.
Yeah.
Come back home and help my mom, period. Yeah. So I didn't have desires and every year I treated as though it was my last year. I didn't care where I got drafted, what round, that was my mentality. but I knew there wasn't going to be 9.
Crazy to have that mentality so young. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But go ahead. It's so mature.
When you saw what I saw in Trenton, New Jersey, I didn't want to be what I saw.
Right.
Yeah.
I wanted no parts of that. So it was this desire to just, and then when I gave my life to Christ at 16, sport was just a mechanism for me to advance, to accelerate in life. And I use the term experience, my athletic experience, because the game of football is not a career. Because most are done by the age 25, 26. But I didn't do anything that was extraordinary.
Right.
I just did the little things that some of my teammates weren't willing to do. Take notes, listen to what my position coach was saying.
Right.
Show up. I wasn't trying to be a prima donna. It was just the little things where my teammates and the coaches, just like you two, they trusted you.
Right.
And they trusted you on game day to show up. So even when my skills diminished at year 10, 11, as you all notice, the coach ain't going to put nobody on the field that he can't trust. It don't matter how talented he is. So I was always intentional every year from year 1 to year 15. If there was a program or resource that was available either through the NFLPA,
Mm-hmm.
through the league office or the club, I was there, hands up. And I was one of the last people that the team was going to cut. They was going to keep the quarterback, and I know they were going to keep me based off of my contract and my performance.
Right.
But it was just, I treated every year as an individual year, saying that I got to get through this year. I don't know what the team's going to do. And I never priced myself out of the market. Because most said, man, I did exactly what I thought I should do. Because I never wanted to go into a season where I could be a cap casualty. Why?
Yeah.
To say that I'm the highest paid at my position? I was always tagged transition. I'm good staying 1 through 5, 1 through 10. Why? Because if the season doesn't go right from a win-loss standpoint, you bring a new coach in, who are they looking at? Who making the money? And how do I restructure and people going to measure you? Well, he's making all of this money and he's only performing at this level. So that was my mentality every year, was to perform. I asked for no bonuses in my I had no incentives in my contracts, because if you were paying me the $3.5 million base salary, $4 million base salary, why are you giving me an incentive to lead the team in pass breakups or interceptions? That's what you're paying me to do, or to play in this many games. So my mentality was just different. I don't want any extra. Just pay me for what I do on Sunday, Mondays, and Thursdays.
Were you your own agent? Because I mean,
Yes.
the way you structure, you were.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I could tell, because the way you're talking and structuring a lot of these things, agents are always trying to get the little nickel dime. They're trying to get the extra to make their look better on the books for them. Like, this is what I was able to get. It's just amazing that, I mean, your mentality, I wish you would have been the veteran on my team early in my career to maybe shoot me down some path. This is really great. So now we talked about your playing career and all these other things, but this is something that me and Peanut really love to really deep dive into, especially not even on the podcast. Bless you.
Excuse me.
Is that after you retired, how did you handle your identity, like personally and publicly, and like, what was that new normal like for you, being tied to the NFL for as long as you have been, and now you're no longer a player? We all kind of go through this sense of this feel of like almost lost at times.
Well, I think it begins while you play and how you represent yourself. I was representing the body of Christ, my wife, and my family. I happened to be an athlete. So just managing that, and I would share that with any pro or any athlete, you have to control who you are. I played the game. The game is not, and I'm still to this particular day in that new normal, that transition. From time to time, I have to debunk the myths that are associated with an athlete.
Yes.
Black athlete.
Yes.
All the time.
So all of those things, and to this very day, in my position today, as I raise my children. So, but you have to be intentional about it. And I was very intentional about how I showed up from in the locker room. Hey, looking over. Nope, I don't do any interviews when I don't have no clothes on. And I tell my teammates that, it was just the little things. How to engage with the media, being transparent, making sure that I was available. So managing that brand, your personal brand, frankly, it allowed me to be in a position I'm in today. I'm not surprised because all of the things that you and I learned as you all were leaders on your team, all of those are transferable skills that nobody told us in the C-suite. Everything that we learned about communication, resiliency, teamwork, communication, those are intricate values that the game presents to each of us that play. And they all transition over to the corporate world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, you have done a ton, and I know the game's done a lot for you, but you've also done a lot for the game as far as like helping players out in their second acts. I know you brought the NFL business management, the broadcast boot camp, and I guess my question is how receptive are current and former players of you in the NFL creating these programs?
I think they've been extremely receptive.
I'm a product.
Yes, you too. And what makes me proud, why people go, well, when I see individuals, my colleagues, like Peanut and Roman, you all make me so proud, make us so proud because this is who we really are.
Right.
Like you represent the best of who we are. But oftentimes we get one or two examples and everyone gets painted with that same brush.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my affinity and love, as I always say, you can't lead the player if you don't love them. And loving them means you take the good, the bad, everything that comes with us, because we can be a mess at times. But you can't lead us if you don't love us.
Right.
So when I watched and I read and I was mentored by, I would feel like some of the best. And then my pastors, it was, okay, why are we not succeeding? Why aren't people giving us the opportunity? We finish college, we play ball, our ball is our resume, but we have all of these skills that most great leaders in Fortune 50, Fortune 500 companies have, but we're not getting a shot.
Right.
So as a player, I went to the University of Penn. And I went and talked to Ken Shropshire. We talked in the mid-90s to say, how do we create programs that will allow players to get an introduction into things that they want to do or have interest in post their playing experience?
And this is why you were playing. This is why
we're playing. 1996.
This is awesome.
Were you a rep in 96?
Yes. Every Tuesday. Every Friday, that's where I spent my time on campus, meeting with the professor saying, we have players that want to get in real estate. They don't have time to go back to school. Can we do certificate programs? Can we do programs that will allow them the introduction into these businesses? So broadcast, all of the boot camps, all of those things were created back in the mid-90s. And they have year after year, journalism, broadcast boot camp, all of those things, the Harvard programs, Northwestern. It was so that the player had an opportunity when he took the helmet off, whether it's him, his spouse, his partner, to go back and learn some of the things that are important if you wanted to get into this business.
Right.
That's so good. And I didn't even know you were doing that while you were playing. The fact that you made time, this is unbelievable that you're sharing all this with me, because I don't think most people know this. We know, Troy, you got to understand, most of us, the first time we ever meet you is when you're doing that media training when we first get in. And the one thing that you say that always stands out is what you just said earlier, is that, hey, the media is an outlet to your brand. Like, you must work with them. It's the way you tell your own story and working with the media. And that is what you do, like how the media opportunities into the locker room. Like, that's a first introduction most players get to who Troy Vincent is.
So, Roman, when you say that, remember, we all come into the league where they say, hey, what does the NFL stand for? Not for long.
Not for long.
No. We're going to flip that.
Right.
Yeah.
The NFL means notice for life when you do things right.
See?
I'm using that.
These are the nuggets that we need to be sharing.
Yeah, we have to. If we do just a little things right, you don't have to be a star.
Yeah, you're
The
true.
people that we come in contact with, from a media standpoint, business standpoint, partnership standpoint, people standpoint, we actually are put on notice for life if we just treat people right.
Yeah.
So true.
But we always lean to, it means not for long. Nope, we're going to flip that.
Or the no fun league.
Yes.
So, and you probably hit on this a lot, but I want to know from your perspective, because this is some of your terms that I've heard and read that you use, is that what is a servant leader and what does that mean to you?
So a servant leader is someone who is, I serve, I'm using the term I.
Mm-hmm.
I serve those who are really leading, even though I may have the title structurally, but I'm a servant leader. I want to address what you want to do. I want to serve you because when you win, I win. So that servant leadership is being selfishless. I mean, just not my ego. I'm okay. And I use this now in my management style. This goes to that servant leadership. I always say no author of ownership. I don't need an author of ownership.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need my name to be on the paper.
Yeah.
I don't need to be the person that's at the podium speaking.
I feel
Allow me to serve you and the world and the team, and everybody wins. But I'm okay at this point in my life in that position.
Were you always like that?
No, not always. No, sir. No, sir, Peanut. At the age 21, you couldn't tell me nothing.
Right.
And if something happened, I wanted to make sure I got my credit. Today is not about credit.
You know what? I think I'm with you on that. I've been in plenty of situations to where I was just like, but why my name ain't on it? I want the credit, and it passes you by. Being 41 now, I'm in a comfortable place. I'm a team guy. You know what? I could be in the background. I could take a step back. I could take a seat in the back. I'm cool just being just a guy in the background. And
Peanut, I'm also ready for transition at any time. So I don't take anything for granted. I don't know if you can see in the background my bookcase.
Yeah.
Well, that bookcase have books so that the next leader who is going to occupy this seat, whether that happens, they want to make a change tomorrow or next week. When I pick up my book bag and leave tonight, I don't own any of these things. But people they can go right to the book and see my notes from yesterday on the topic of football.
Yeah.
So I'm updating these things every day so that transition is smooth.
Right. Continuity.
Yeah, that's right. So someone can take what has been created and take it forward.
So I heard you in this Glenn Macnow podcast, and it was much more of a show too. It was pretty long, but you were just in the last part of it. But you talked about the best teams in the league because talent is in abundance. It's all about culture, leadership, and continuity. And the things that we're talking about now, and so often everybody needs to go through it, is that, and ask your own self this, is that, and I just want to know how you landed on this concept, is like, or this question that you like to ask, which is, how willing are you to accept someone else's success? Yeah. Like, that's a really tough question that's only something that you can now know personally.
Correct. And that goes back to pride. That goes back to maturity. You asked the question. I mean, as a 21-year-old, I thought like a 21-year-old.
Right.
But as I matured, as I became a mature father, mature husband, now grandfather, I'm able to glean on what I learned, frankly, through scripture.
Yeah.
But and I share that, Roman, with my sons. That's the first, as they were coming up through their athletic journey, I used to watch their body language on the bench.
That's so hard.
Watching them mature, and I would just say, Teron or Troy, your body language told me as a parent sitting in the stands that you didn't like the coach taking you out. Or I saw your body language when such and such scored and you didn't cheer for him, or such and such got the sack. So I use that analogy of, how are you going to respond to someone else's success, even in the corporate world today? I share that with my leadership team, because how could we expect increase when really you're not happy when someone else gets the credit, or someone else has gotten a promotion and you didn't? So that's Roman. That's I kind of put it in that context of, are you willing, or are you at that place in your life where you're willing to celebrate someone else's success?
We saw that. We saw that we saw that Monday night when they took out, was it Mac Jones? Zappy, and they put Zappy in, and he went down there, threw a nice bomb. I'm sure Mac Jones was hurt. He didn't want to, damn, he came in here and he started balling, but Zappy did his thing, got the drive going, and then Mac
actually came and congratulated him.
He congratulated him. Yeah.
Troy Aikman talked about that, because
I appreciate that.
Everybody knows how hard that is, and that's got to be such a hard place to come from, and only you can answer those questions.
And Roman, I would say this: that's really the beauty of sports. It's about team. That really embodies team.
It's supposed to be.
Supposed to be. And I know you're from Bama, but there's one thing that I can say about the Bama ball players. It's about team.
1,000%.
And one thing that you've learned, if anyone's watching, when the team has success, the individual accolades are just a byproduct of that.
Yes.
So
that's how are you going to celebrate somebody else's victory, or are you willing to?
We're about team too. I'm just saying we about team too. I know you didn't know me when I was in Louisiana.
Troy, our biggest thing is me and Peanut try to wear something college related every show.
And I was going to wear my Badger stuff today. I was going to literally change and put on my Badger stuff today, but since it's game day, this is my game day gear.
I got you.
Yeah,
so game day. Let me ask you this. Rumors and speculations, and you went from player engagement to being the VP of football ops. Do you want to be commissioner?
No.
You don't want the job at all?
Right now, I serve the commissioner and I serve the game. I
hear you say that. You serve the commissioner. That takes a lot of self.
I don't want anybody to get it twisted.
Yeah.
I am owning my space today.
Yeah.
And I get asked that question today. I serve Commissioner Roger Goodell, and I'm waiting for my wife to tell me when it's time to come home so we can go back in the community and continue serving the community. But I get asked. I see what he goes through. I'm good right where I'm at.
Yeah,
I love the game.
Maybe I want to get your job, and that might be a good one. You
go
be commissioner, and then I take your job. You can serve me.
No, I do that anyways, Peanut. I do that anyways. You know that. So Troy, two things we got to get accomplished from this whole thing. Number one, we're gonna get Peanut a job. All right, that's number one. We're gonna get somehow or another. We're gonna work Peanut into this job thing. And then number two is we got to know, because for you to start off on the player side, now to go to the NFL side. And as players, we all know who Troy Vincent is. We have all this this love, this understanding of how great you are, and how much you've really improved the NFL side of it. Like, the NFL's in a much better place since you've crossed over. Are you ever going to be able to come back? Would you, knowing and learn what you've learned on this side of it, where all the decisions that go into what you guys do on a day-to-day basis on the NFL side are for ownership group, fan experience, and then players. Knowing all of that every decision made upon that, knowing all of its weaknesses, its strengths, how much more of a benefit would it be for you to come back to the PA side, knowing that the PA is not as strong as it could be, that we're still behind the NBA, the MLB, that we could be up there and talked about as a strong players union with maybe or possibly your leadership. Not trying to say you're trying to be a usurper or anything, But just want to throw that out there because as a retired guy, it could only get better when the leadership gets better and be able to bring everybody in together.
And Rome, my position there is I never left the game.
Yeah.
I wore one uniform. I served as I never was an employee of the Players Association, but I served in a leadership role. Today, I serve the game. And my uniform may be a different color, but the mission is the same.
Yeah.
It is ensuring that NFL football is the best and the most competitive sport in the world by serving the game as you, the player. So it's never changed my mentality. So it wasn't a crossover to me. Hey, listen, I ran for the executive director's position, lost, didn't get the position.
Right.
I didn't go home and grab my ball. And I just, hey, at that particular time, God said no.
Yeah.
That door closed. But my passion for the game itself and the players, past, present, and future, will never change.
That's what's up. Well, we're going to hold those thoughts because right now we got to pay a couple bills, so y'all stay tuned. Got to pay these bills, boss. Check. All right, Thomas, how we looking? Ready to go into segment 2?
Y'all good. I like this.
You like this
combination? Yeah, it's a good combination. I've never seen this is a good combination. I like
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right, appreciate that. All right, Rome, you ready? Segment 2?
Yeah. You gonna bring us back?
Yeah.
All right, bro. Let's do it.
Thank y'all for tuning in to this NFL Player Second X podcast. We got Troy Vincent if you're just tuning in. All right, so
the Troy Vincent.
I'm sorry.
Come on, man. He's that important.
The Troy Vincent.
Sorry.
I apologize. So Troy, I know Tracy, her office, TP, her office is right around the corner. TP, Trace Perlman, great friend of mine, great friend of yours, another amazing person, NFL exec, known for a long time. TP, what's up? I text TP constantly about the rules. I am texting, I am tweeting the NFL, the officials, the NFL. Do y'all have an official Twitter for the umpire or the rules or officials? I tweet them. I tweet them. I talk to Rome. I talk to all my boys about the rules. How do you deal with the constant criticism with your jobs as it pertains to like rules and stuff? How do you deal with that?
Well, one, you have to that's part of it. Just like a player, you got to take the good with the good. You take the not so good when it's not so good.
Right.
You just have to stay even keel.
Okay.
And I get asked the question, if there's one thing that you would do, what would you change with the league? Mm-hmm. Continue reducing that rule book. I think that the rule book, because you're talking about 180 plus pages of rules. Ooh. And it's really complex. And if it's complex to the player mm-hmm. and sometimes the coach, it could be really complex to the fan.
Oh, I still don't know all the rules to the game.
Correct. And so reducing that where just the average Joe, the average Mary could just say, oh, I understand that. But I would say this, and this is one of the things that I've learned just over the last 6 years. The official is the common enemy. I'm going to repeat that. The official has become the common enemy. I was just sharing this with Coach Fuel, who heads our officiating department, mm-hmm. him and Walt Anderson, just yesterday. I said, at the end of the year, one of the things that we have to make sure, and we have the data to support it and the video to support this, and Peanut and Roman, I would just say this, and you all will appreciate this. The gamesmanship at our level today is something that I've never, ever seen before. The gamesmanship that goes on in strategy.
Oh, yeah.
So, where you think that, like the deception that is created. Not only are you trying to trick your opponent or get your opponent thinking a different way, guess who else you're trying to confuse, that you're confusing?
You're bending the rules as much as you can.
And Roman, we do not talk about that enough. And literally, I said, okay, I did that. For 8 years of my 15, I did the officiating reporting. It's not because I was a big fan of the umpire or the back judge or the side judge. I was giving my teammates an indication of this is what you can get away with this crew or with this side judge. And we all know after the second series, we know how we're going to play this game today.
Yes.
Because you know what they call and what they ain't going to call.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Troy, I think that's so important that you're up there telling these guys that, because so when I got to New Orleans, Sean Payton, I'm sure he learned it from Philly, being with you guys and around that whole Andy and everybody else, that the officials report is big. When you know what official group likes to call holdings really prevalent this week, hey, pass interference this week. They're last in the league in personal foul calls, so they're going to let you live a little bit. So like these things, and referees have personalities just like players.
Oh yeah,
that is so important. And everybody right now is really on the roughing the passer. And I know the thing about you guys in the NFL that makes it so good and so hard to argue against is that you guys got the stats and numbers to back it up.
Yes.
Right?
No, so data. He said data. He didn't say stats. We've got the data.
Deep. All right. So, and I want to share this, and this is not for you, Troy, because you know this, but I want to share it to the people and the listeners, is that everybody's complaining about the roughing the passer calls. The one that happened with Grady Jarrett on Brady, the one that happened, it's been a few this year that's been quite questionable at times, to say the least. Chris
Jones and the Grady Jarrett was the ones that is kind of
really elevated it, right? So in 2018 through week 6, we had 53 roughing the passers. In 2019, you had 59. In 2020, through 6 weeks, you had 43. So a trend in the down in 2020. 2021, you were back up to 52. And then in 2022, this year, through 6 weeks, you were all the way down to 38. So the behavior is changing. So you guys are really affecting the game without really affecting the game. And everybody complains about how soft it is, but I want to use your word in your terms, is that it's just, the game is just different. It's not soft. Game. It's just different. It's kind of go into that and help us out.
Yeah, so, and I think this is important we all grew up in the era, and I use this term, it's a different game. It's a safer game. It's a better game. I grew up in Trenton, New Jersey, and in Lower Bucks County, wanting to play for Buddy Ryan. Buddy Ryan's defenses had the, let's say, this aura or this reputation of putting people in the body bag. That was the mentality. If you were coming and wanting to play football, you just learned the game with bad intentions.
That was it.
I fast forward, knowing what I know now, and I've always been on the player protection and the health and safety. But just knowing what I know now, and people go, well, what do you know now? I'm looking at my teammates, and I'm seeing my teammates at 45 and at 50 in conditions that they should not be in.
Right.
So it makes me pause and just say, okay. And as Willie Lanier said this to me maybe 12 years ago, Troy, you can't allow our sport to become a blood sport. We all want the same thing: to perform, get our ball on, make our paragraph 5, go home with our families in one piece. But when we allow the game to go to that next level where it becomes a blood sport and people are trying to take each other's head off, that's not good for any of us. So I paused there on the roughing the passer. Fast forward, different game, safer game, better game. And I use this, which I typically never go in this direction because it's really commercial. And in 2021, 91 of the top 100 TV shows in America were NFL games. I'm going to repeat this. In 2021, 91 of the top 100 linear television shows were NFL football games. Why? Because they love points. They love the excitement. When we look at from top to bottom, these young boys are getting it on. It's a fact.
Troy, so it's so true. And Peanut was so ready he was ready for this part of the interview. Like, this is what he's been geared up for. Peanut, you know why? All right, when they call illegal contact, it's 5 yards. It's not, they're gonna give them a first down because they want points. Like, it's just what you give the offense more opportunities.
All I'm saying is just from a defensive standpoint, help us out. I get 91 of 100 top shows. I see you, Dr. Pepper, by the way, Rome. Can we get a little bit of help on defense? I'm a little biased. I'm talking to my defensive players out there. I'm looking out for them. You said you're looking out for your teammates. I'm looking out for all defensive players in the NFL right now. I'm just trying to make it just help us out a little bit. And if I hit a guy after 5 yards, why is it an automatic 5 yard, automatic first down? Just move me forward 5 yards. You know what I'm saying? Why? I just help us out defensively. Help us out in that department. I get points. I get people want to see points on the board. People say it's a boring game when the score is 10-3. I think the defenses are balling. I think that's a slap in the face on us.
And many of us would agree with that.
We can't have a good defensive matchup. How come it can't be two defensive coordinators just going at it? Like, man, these guys are playing chess. They are killing it right now on defense. Like, I love a low-scoring game. That means the defenses are playing amazing. I hate 45-33. Where's your defense at? But I get it. It's a brand. That's bad football.
But listen, when you look at the composition of the competition committee, which changed over the last year.
I want to be on that committee, just saying.
So some of the things like incidental contact, letting the guys chicken fight, that's something that now down the field, as you know, when you're just trying to gain position or shoulder position.
Yep.
They allow that today. So here's what I'm always.
Do they really allow it? No.
Okay, I've seen more offensive pass interferences this year alone than any time I ever played. Like, never had a call. So I will say that.
That is accurate. This is what I would say to this. Now, remember this is not the league office. So don't be sitting here blaming Troy.
I'm not blaming.
I'm just saying, I don't have a vote. You got 32 member clubs. If you really want to impact the game, here's one I think you can appreciate.
Okay.
Tell me why pass interference is a spot foul. Why don't you just make that like college?
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, them 50-yard penalties are huge.
Bingo. Huge. You can't recover from it. And typically when you get that 40 to 50-yard penalty, the next play he can kick a field goal. He's already in field goal range. But what? When those teams are in that red zone area, the percentage of them scoring is through the roof.
Yeah.
So, hey, we really want to change things. All membership has to do is, or the coaches make PI a yardage.
I've been saying that for a while, though. I'm all for that. I'm all for that.
So Troy, I got one rule thing. This is the only thing I'm on my soapbox about, and this is just that, as a former safety, having to set the edge, and you did too. I mean, the fact that I can't just take a O-lineman's knees out anymore, now I got to take them up high. I'm just saying, like, Troy,
for that one, Roman. Full transparency. I'm on you all's on the podcast here in my second act. That was one that's what I'm not proud.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Of what I did. I got 6 trophies. I'm not proud of those 6 trophies. And people go, what do you mean? 6 people didn't play because of what I did to them coming off of that edge.
Yeah.
They never returned back to the field. So people go, well, how does a big block a little? I know if I get the top of my helmet or the side of my helmet, if I hit that right spot on that knee, it's over. So
go ahead. Sorry.
No, so it was just one of those. Those are the kind of things like things like cut block, chop block, blindside. Those things were like, think about even the term itself. We grew up in an era where a blindside block. Peanut, you was used to, you know, help out your teammates during the week with restaurant gift cards when you got big hits, big tackles inside. I mean, hey, think about that.
We talk offline when we not recording.
You decleat somebody.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a different. I can't go to a parent today and ask their kid, hey, your kid should be participating in football.
Yeah. I
hard.
understand that.
It's such a unique situation to be in too, because Troy, what you're saying is you're not wrong, but like we grew up with this different mentality. Look, I played for junior buddy Ryan and Greg Williams, and it was like that was the mentality.
You can say it because I played for him too.
You know, it's like that was it.
What did he used to tell you? If you cut the what?
Oh, if you kill the head, the body will die. That was
Come
it.
on, man.
It's like that's what you did.
That's not right. Because we know better. The Bible tells us, because I read that, I'm now held responsible for his word.
Yes.
Because we know better today, gentlemen. Again, it's not, man, T done got, no, I'm not getting soft. But I got kids and I got grandkids. I'm speaking to millions of parents.
Yep.
About their children participating in a sport that we love.
Yes.
And I get that question comes up all the time.
I respect that. I like it. I like that. Yeah.
And
did you change your view, Peanut? I want to hear it.
A little bit. You changed it. A little bit. You changed it.
Look, my wife she doesn't want my son to play football until later. And it's also because football is a sport that you can pick up later in life and still be great at it.
Understood.
Yeah, you were a great example of that yourself, Troy. You were mostly a basketball player, track guy, up until you got, what was that, Pennsbury High School, right?
Yep, 11th, 12th grade.
Yep, until you were later, you were all about being baby MJ, Michael Jordan. So you cut your hair bald back in the day. Now you have to cut your hair bald. So, you know, at the time you made these things happen, and just maybe speak on just, you know, finishing us off here, kind of getting us ready up out of here, is that as you go back to these high schools and have these conversations with these young moms, dads about their family and their children participating in the sport that we love, you have to lean on the health aspect of it first. And I know you really light up when you talk about the health and safety and all the things that you guys, the strides that you've made in football.
Well, it's a non-starter if I don't.
Yeah.
It's where they want to begin the conversation. And then it sets the stage for me to talk about all of the things that the game provides, whether they play professional football, go to college, but the strides that have been made from return to play. We just adjusted the concussion protocols.
Mm-hmm.
We look at the helmet. Think about the helmets that in our era.
Oh.
Did you wear a bike, Peanut? Was you a bike guy? Did you wear a bike helmet?
Mm-mm.
I had a bike in high school.
I never wore a helmet. Why? Why would you wear a helmet? We made fun of people who wore helmets that rode bikes. We made fun of those kids. Let's be real. My mom and dad were, boy, you good. You know how to ride a bike. All right, cool. He got a helmet on.
I'm just, but just the advancements.
Right.
The advancement in just medical technology. ACLs in the early 90s, 80s, done.
Yes.
Achilles, never thought about playing. Just the advancements in medical, the advancements in equipment. Today, we can be on the offense talking about where our game has evolved from a health and safety standpoint, player protection. 12 years ago, we were defending. I mean, we were backpedaling. We didn't have any answers. But I just think the evolution of the game, the athlete today, bigger, faster, stronger, equipment is faster. I mean, better, from the helmets to shoulder pads, everything. So it's a different game. Again, better game, a safer game. The conditions are just better. And we, as legends, we have an opportunity to share the goodness of football. And now with flag, if I can just let me put that little plug in. I talk about the future of football as flag. I didn't say the future of professional football. But when we think about flag football and football being for all, it literally is, it takes down all of the barriers that other sports and our sport currently used to have with gender, race, class, disability. Flag football, there's a position and a place for everyone. You don't need a field.
Right.
Like you don't. So it allows every child to come out and participate in the game that we all love. So that's why I'm excited about flag football.
Oh, and yeah, I'm with that. Rome, I think we should definitely get on a pro football flag team, and we can get it together. I think we can do that.
Until somebody pull a hamstring or do something crazy, it sounds great. Like it does on paper. It sounds great.
We should get a Legends flag team.
Yeah,
we should get a
Legends
like
one of my old coaches, and I'm like, bro, that sounds great on the whiteboard, coach. But
yeah.
Until we got to get out here and run it, I'm feel you. But
Troy, we appreciate you, man.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for coming out on the show. This was fun. Hey, you answered a ton of questions. You was in a hot seat. You know, like we was Stephen A. and we was peppering you with all them questions. Hey, you handled yourself with grace. Thanks so much, sir. You did good.
I'm so proud of you all. Thank you. Keep doing what you do.
Thanks, Troy, man. Appreciate it, man. You really not only informed us, you really blessed us with your time, your knowledge, your experience. And I hope the listeners got all that too, man. This guy is amazing. And I would tell anybody to, anytime you can spend any type of quality time and sit down and listen to anything Troy Vincent has to say, you better try and do it. It is well worth your time and your experience. Thank you, man. And I want to also thank all the listeners for tuning in. Please spread the word. Give us a rating and a review. Make sure you hit that click on that follow button on Apple Podcasts, the iHeartRadio app, or anywhere else that you listen to your podcast. Thank you again for listening to me and Peanut Tillman for our Second Acts NFL Player podcast. Thank you.